I know we've been on a quest for the best budget full-size keyboard, but KiiBOOM recently sent me over the Moonshadow V2, and I couldn't wait to dive in and see what it's all about. So let's get to it. So diving straight into the box, the first thing you're met with is your user guide. This is a manual to go over all the ins and outs of the keyboard, such as function keys and how to connect it wirelessly and Bluetooth. There's also a guide on how to set it up for VIA, which is a really cool touch, something you don't see very often. So we really like that, and we'll set it aside so we can reference it later. Next up in the box is your polycarbonate plate. The stock keyboard comes configured with the FR4 plate, so it's nice to see a mid-range keyboard come with different plate options. This is really cool, so don't toss this aside, you might want to install it. But we'll go ahead and set it aside and keep moving through our box. Next up is actually 2 additional switches, as well as your Mac keycaps. The switches, in case you ever have one fail or die on you, you can swap those out pretty easily. And then, of course, the keycaps in case you run Mac, so that way your keyboard matches, Mac settings. Next up is your keycap and switch puller. It's your standard affair. It's keycap on one side, switch puller on the other. Nothing special, your normal affair. And then lastly, you have your USB-C cable. It is a really nice looking cable. I'm not sure how I feel about the wireless receiver being attached to the cable. I think it's pretty good for shipping, but I'm not sure I would leave it there, personally. But overall, it's a really nice cable. It's braided. It feels pretty good. And that's about it. That's your USB-C cable. And now it's time to get to the keyboard. Let's go ahead and get this out of here and take a look. And here you have it, the KiiBOOM Moonshadow V2. So let's talk about the specs. Well, it's gasket mounted, 75%, tri-mode, and it's all aluminum. And to me, it's kind of stunning. Honestly, I love a minimalist keyboard. I really like when it's not really loud in your face. This is exactly the way I like to set up my keyboards. A few accent colors and then really muted tones of keycaps is honestly my favorite aesthetic. Now, if this isn't your aesthetic, they also offer this in black and pink, and of course you can always change out your keycaps. The beauty of mechanical keyboards. But with all that aside, there's some things we also need to take a look at. From the V1 to the V2, they went from the exploded 75% to the compact 75%, and then they've included a knob where the badge used to be. Both these things I really like, even though the knob is a touch wobbly. The other thing they noted was that they had tune stabilizers and can confirm out of the box, they do feel really good. Also, they are clip-in stabilizers, but the PCB does accommodate for screw-ins as well, which is a nice touch. Now flipping over the backside, we can see that they kept the same KiiBOOM engraving in the top center, which honestly isn't a bad look. I also like the 2-tone color variant they kept as well, and then they have the 4 rubber feet so it doesn't slide around your desk, but there's no adjustments back here at all. Flipping over the top edge, you can see that we have our USB-C port, our mode switcher for our wireless modes, and our Mac and Windows switch. And for me, I love a switch. I think it's better than remembering a combination of key presses to switch modes, so for me, that's kind of a win. But all in all, the entire keyboard is a win. Like seriously, I like this keyboard way more than I thought. Like even just looking at the keyboard while filming the video, I just noticed that even in the light, the silver changes kind of maybe tones, just depending on where the shadow is. And honestly, it was just really neat to see. And I know it's not game breaking or game changing, but it was something I noticed. And it's something that really sets this keyboard apart from other 75% that I own. But enough about the aesthetics, let's continue diving into the keyboard, starting with how much this thing weighs, because let me tell you, it is not light. So if we grab our handy dandy scale here, we can pop it on, and the keyboard comes in at 1.5 kilograms, which is about 3.3 pounds American. So yeah, it's a pretty heavy keyboard. It's not crazy heavy where you couldn't carry it around, but it's definitely noticeable. Now that we've seen the overview of the keyboard, now it's time to dive into the keyboard, and we'll start with our keycaps. We pull one off and we can see that it's a die sub PBT cherry keycap. It's got a pretty clear legends, it's got edge to edge color, it's got a really nice thickness, and they feel pretty good to the touch. Now I do want to note that I've read reports of some users receiving keyboards where the legends didn't quite line up, but it doesn't appear to be an issue with my keyboard. But I wanted to put it out there so it can be transparent. Now let's take a look at the switches. These are the KiiBOOM Flick switches. They are a 45-gram linear switch, they have an LY stem and a polycarbonate housing, and they come pre-lubed. And honestly, they feel really good. Like super surprisingly good. Not one of them felt scratchy. So awesome job, KiiBOOM. Now let's go ahead and get these all out so we can take a look at the plate, which here you can see is a FlexCut FR4 plate. Now honestly, super surprising. Not a lot of mid-range keyboards come with FR4 plates, as well as an included polycarbonate plate that you can swap to. This is a really cool touch. You see this a lot in high-end keyboards and keyboard kits, but not always in the mid-range. So it's a really cool thing to see. Also, with the last trick up its sleeve is why it includes so much customization. Well, it's because this is Rapid Disassembly, or aka a ball catch system, to where you don't have to use any tools to get into the keyboard. You simply take off your volume knob and then you press down the outside of the keyboard case and bam, you're in your keyboard. And that's it. It's as simple as that. And this design is taking the world by storm. It's really cool. It has these ball catch designs right here, and it's really easy to get in and out of the keyboard, encouraging you to mod or disassemble or change up your keyboard. I really like this, and with having additional offerings in the box such as a different polycarbonate plate with your FR4 plate, it encourages users to take the chance to dive in and get into DIYing a keyboard. And for me, that's awesome, because I love customizing my keyboard. And if others start loving customizing their keyboards, then the hobby thrives more, and we get more innovation, and we get cooler keyboards. So it's a win-win all the way around. So remember, if you want to get into your Moonshadow V2, just take off your volume knob, and you can get straight into the case. Speaking of which, let's take this case off and dive into the keyboard more. Now that we have access to our plate and our PCB, we're going to flip it away from us. You'll see your connector here with your ribbon cable. You'll flip up the little connector and then you pull out your ribbon cable. It's simple as that. Now you have access to your PCB and your plate. If you feel like swapping plates or changing out anything here, you're free to do so. But we're going to set that aside for a moment and focus on the case. Now that we're into the case itself, you'll see that we're set up with a bunch of foam. In the stock configuration, the keyboard comes with a ton of foam, including pour-on foam, IXPE switch pads, and then also a couple film layers and plastic layers. Now for this, I do love that the foam isn't adhered to the back of the PCB. I like it for customization so I don't have to tear off or rip or risk damaging any of the foam when I want to make any changes. Also, I like that there's a plastic sheet at the bottom that separates the metal case from the PCB in case I don't want to run any foam. This is a really nice touch. I do love this a lot. I just want to make sure that we're being safe whenever we run no foam in a metal case. Now, underneath everything, you'll have your 4000 milliamp hour battery as well as your daughter board. You can also see our ball catch designs here, as well as our standoffs on the front that help guide and lock the case into place. So, all in all, that's about it. Let's go ahead and put all this back together and head over to check out our PCB. With our PCB and our plate in hand, the first thing we'll notice is we have our gasket mounts that go all the way around the plate and the PCB. This is a really nice touch. These little vacuum cleaners, or shovels, or dumbbells, or barbells, or whatever you prefer to call them, are evenly spaced to give the keyboard a really nice feel no matter where you're typing on the keyboard. Some keyboards don't include gaskets all the way around that are evenly spaced, and sometimes you can feel dead spots or low spots, and it can feel kind of uneven when you're typing. But this ensures that you'll have a nice feel no matter where you're typing on the board. And I really like that. Plus they're cool. They look like little shovels, or, whatever you want to call them, honestly. But all in all, I like them. Also, there's a little cutout to keep the plate and the PCB aligned, which is a really cool touch. Now, separating everything, you can see that we have our FlexCut FR4 plate, along with our clip-in stabilizers, and all in all, it's a really nice plate. It's honestly really surprisingly nice. I really dig an FR4 plate. I am partial to a polycarbonate plate, as in I just kind of like the sound and feel a little bit more. I also not super in love with FlexCut plates, but for FlexCut plates, this is one of the nicer ones I've seen in this price range. But setting that aside, we can dive into our foams as well. Starting with our pour-on foam, I know not everybody loves running foam, but I love that it's included, and it's super easy to get into this keyboard, so if you don't want to run this foam, you can simply just open it up and take it out. Also, you have your IXPE switch pad, and as well as switch film. And I know it looks like they're adhered together, but they're just stamped together. So if you feel like running one or the other, you can simply separate them, and there's no issues at all. But that's about it. That's it for all your foams. So you have your pour-on foam, your switch pad, and your switch film. So yeah, let's get this all back together. Let's go set up VIA and let's hear how this thing sounds. So now we're ready to set up VIA. We'll head over to the KiiBOOM website. First thing we're going to do is locate downloads, and then we'll go to QMK and VIA, and then we'll locate the KiiBOOM Moonshadow V2 JSON. Click on that, and then download your JSON file. Once you have your JSON file downloaded, you'll head over to usevia.app. Once you're there, you'll go ahead and select the settings cogwheel. Then you'll make sure that your show design tab toggle is switched to on. Then you'll head over to the design tab. You'll go to load definitions, select that JSON file you just downloaded, load it into VIA, and then make sure that your shown definitions are Moonshadow V2. And then you'll select the configure tab, authorize the device, and then connect it. Once you're here and connected, now you can change any of your key bindings or make any adjustments you want. Say you want to change a key binding, make A the escape key, you just select A, then select escape. All the updates here are handled on the fly, so there's no need to save or export them for the keyboard to respond. You can also adjust any layer configurations you want, as well as record any macros. If you have other saved layouts you've used previously, you can load or save them here. And then lastly, you can change your lighting. This includes your brightness, your effects, your speed, and then color for any static ones. And that's it. That's your entire VIA run through. And I love being able to use VIA, so big shout out to KiiBOOM. Thank you so much for the QMK and VIA compatibility instead of relying on third-party software. Big ups to you. But now we set everything up, let's go ahead and give the keyboard a listen. So what are my final thoughts? Well, I actually have a lot of things to say, but the first thing I want to get out of the way is the fact that this is not a budget keyboard. At $160, it is in somebody's budget, but I don't think it falls into the category of budget keyboard. I know the term is thrown around a lot, but this I would consider is a mid-range keyboard. It punches above what a budget keyboard is, but it doesn't come with all the refinement that a high-end keyboard does. With that said, I think this is an amazing keyboard. At $160, it is a more expensive keyboard than I regularly review, but it has a lot to offer. Not only is the build quality top-notch, but it also feels and sounds great right out of the box. You could easily get this keyboard with no intentions to modify it, and you would not be disappointed. but it also encourages people to modify it with being so easy to get into and to modify itself. It's one of the easier keyboards I've ever modified, and I've seen myself go back to it countless times to modify and change it up. Changing up from switches, going to long pull, to really heavy clicky switches, just to see what it sounds like and feels like. It's super easy to get in and out of, which encourages me to keep playing around with it, which I think is amazing. I've also had no problems with connectivity, as I've connected to Bluetooth to my iPad, wireless for my Mac, and then wired for when I'm gaming on Windows. All in all, it's a keyboard that I think really hits the mark on a lot of areas. But with that said, I'm curious to see what you think. Let me know in the comments below. Is this something that you would be interested in? Is $160 in your price range for keyboards? What do you expect for $160? I'm really curious to know and to learn. So definitely hit those comments, let me know. Also, big shout out for KiiBOOM for supplying the keyboard for review. They did not pay me to say anything, nor do they get to review the video before it goes live. This is all my personal thoughts. And with that said, thank you so much for watching the video. If you could drop a like and hit subscribe, it would help the channel and mean the world to me. And if you want to check out the KiiBOOM Moonshadow V2, there'll be a link in the description box below. And that's it, the end. Thank you for watching, and as always, keep keyboarding.